At the annual meeting a couple of years ago, I asked about your estate plan and your idea of leaving kids enough so they can do anything, but not so much that they can do nothing. Today, I'd like to ask you about your decision to sign the Giving Pledge, promising to give away at least 1/2 of your assets to charity. Can you talk about your views on philanthropy and how to balance leaving an inheritance to your family versus assets to charity?
Well, it depends very much on the individual situation. And actually, I promised to give over 99% in my case, but that still leaves plenty left over. As you know, the estate tax exemption has been moved up substantially here in the last couple of years. So I might have a very different feeling if I'd had a child that had worked actively, helped me build a business and all of that sort of thing, and it was a small business, and I wanted to give it to them. But that can be really done without any estate tax these days, particularly if a little planning is used ahead of time. It's a very individual thing. As Charlie, when you get to the figuring out what you do with your money, the options get fairly limited. And as Charlie said the other day, he said where he's going, it won't do him much good anyway. There's no Forbes 400, in the graveyard. And so the question is, where does it do the most good? And I think it does limited amounts do some real good for my children. So I'll be sure that they have that, or they already have it to a degree. And on the other hand, when I look at a bunch of stock certificates in a safe deposit box that were put there 50 years ago or so, they have absolutely no utility to me. Zero. They can't do anything for me in life. I mean, they can't let me consume 7,000 calories a day instead of 3,000. They can't. There's nothing they can do. I've got everything in the world I want. I've had it for decades. If I wanted something additionally, I go buy it. So here these things are that have no utility to me, and they have enormous utility to some people in other parts of the world. I mean, they can save lives, they can provide vaccines, they can provide education. There are all kinds of utility. So why in the world should they sit there, for me or for some fourth generation down of great-grandchildren or something, when they can do a lot of good now? So that's my own philosophy on it. But I think everybody has to develop their own feelings about it and should follow where they go. I do think they might ask themselves, where will it do the most good? And it can be pretty dramatic between what it can do for millions of people that don't really have remotely the same shot at having a decent life that I've had, or what it can do for me. I mean, if I could have 10 houses, but I could buy a hotel to live in, or something. Would I be happier? It'd be crazy. Charlie and I have both like fairly simple lives, but the one thing we do know is we know what we like and what we don't like, and we don't judge it by what other people like. So I don't have too much advice for anybody, but I would say start thinking about it. When I call people on the Giving Pledge, some of them, I'll get some 70-year-old and he says, I don't want to think about it yet. And I always tell them, well, are you going to make a better decision when you're 95 with some blonde on your lap, or something? That actually was tried a few years ago, as you may know. Charlie?
No, but it does occur to me that fellow who was complaining about the tax system should remember that when they've recently changed the estate tax rules, so you can leave $5 million to your kids and so forth. I think that's a very constructive change in the laws. So I don't think we should assume that our politicians are always going to be totally crazy. That was a very desirable change, I think.